Today I'm going to show you how to migrate your project from Cocoapods to Swift Package Manager. A few months ago, Orta from Cocoapods announced that they're no longer developing for Cocoapods, they're only maintaining the service or the platform. When this happens to any API that you use, any service, any third-party tool that you don't actually develop yourself, and they go into this maintenance mode, that should be your big red flag to already transition either away from it or the replacement for it. Or if it's open source and you have used it long enough, maybe you can clone it and continue developing for it. Nonetheless, you need to do something about it whenever something goes into maintenance mode. If you don't, when the ecosystem continues to evolve and Apple releases more updates, you will find yourself in a tough position because you will no longer be able to adopt to the latest releases or the latest versions, and then you will have to do these changes in a rush in order to continue moving your app forward. So once you find something that goes into maintenance mode, that's your cue to take a pause from adding new features and get your project away from whatever is being set into maintenance mode. So I'm going to show you how to do this today in 4 easy steps. It doesn't matter how large or how small your project is. This will help you migrate away from Cocoapods into Swift Package Manager the correct way. It is very important that before you start this migration process, you create a new branch. You could even literally copy and paste your folder onto a temporary location to give it a trial run for this change. Some projects have a ton of libraries, some other projects have less libraries, but it's important that you do start with either a copy or a fresh branch because there will be a ton of changes in the project files. It will be very hard to track in Git, so it is important that you create a base first before you start this. So now on to this sample project I created for this. It's a UIKit based project. It only has 2 pods. One is for Google Maps and one is for SD Web Image. Many of you know both of these libraries. So the first step that we're going to do is look at our pod file and look at the pods that we're injecting into our app and the versions. So let's start with Google Maps. What we're gonna do is copy that name and we're gonna go to this website called Swift Package Index. It's one that I really like to use to just quickly find references and versions that are available in SPM. And we're going to paste the library that we're looking for. More than likely, the first or second results are going to be what you want. In this case, if you look at the first one, which is Google Maps, it matches the name exactly as we had it in our pod file. And the author is Google Maps. So that's how you know that's the library that you're looking for. So we're gonna go to that one. And what I like to do is to keep tabs open per library that I'm going to migrate. Why? Because sometimes you find certain problems when you're switching. There might be little changes that they adopted, and it's good that you have all the instructions right on screen. So what we're gonna do is for Google Maps, I'm going to copy the name and then I create a temporary file. And all I want to do is keep in mind that the version is 10.4.0 in our case. So I put 10.4.0 and then in the SPM, you're usually going to find the URL. That's all you need for the SPM to install. So let's go down through this. Installation, there you go. So this is the URL for Google Maps. Now we're gonna do the same with SD Web Image. And it's very important that you go meticulously, library by library. You need to make sure that you're actually capturing the library that you want and that you are not just rushing through this, because the more time you take in organizing this file, the faster the process will be and the smoothest transition that you will have. So now for SD web image, I had done the same search for the library. Again, the name matches exactly what you have. The author is SD web image. So sometimes the documentation, they'll put the installation lower in the page. Sometimes they put it at the top. I'm not sure why they don't always put it at the top, but here we go. Swift Package Manager. This is the URL for SD web image, and we're gonna do the same. We're going to paste it here. So now at this stage, we're ready. We know the dependencies we have, the versions, and the URLs for SPM. So now back into our project, we're going to close Xcode. We're going to open terminal, navigate to where the project is at, where the pods are at, and you're going to run pod integrate. So in the same location where you usually run pod install, you will now run pod integrate. When you run that, you're going to see that the build phases that are referencing Cocoapods are going to get removed, and a lot of other cleanup happens. At this stage, you can open your Finder, and in your project is safe to now remove the pod file lock, and the workspace because you no longer use it. And something that is really important to get in the habit of is to remove your derived data when you do changes like this. Every time I do changes like this, I go and clear derived data. That way you have no weird errors being thrown from Xcode. I'm gonna go ahead and open the project again. And here we have it. Sometimes you will get leftovers in the project like this folder here, and it's safe to just remove it. And now we're at a perfect stage to go ahead and transition to adding our Swift Package Manager dependencies. So the way that we do that is, let's start by the first one. So it will be Google Maps. So we're gonna copy the URL of the package, and we're gonna remember that we have the version 10.4.0. So back in Xcode, we go to File, Add Package Dependencies, and then we're going to add the URL. It's going to find the package, and you select it. This part is very important. Don't just leave the default rule to up to next major version. You don't want to ever just blindly update libraries. You want to keep them controlled and get in the habit of every month or every 2 months or every X amount of time, you controlled how you're going to bump the versions. Get in the habit of reading the change logs. There's a lot of golden information, and you'd be surprised how much less bugs, let's say, you get into your apps by actually reading these change logs. So we know that we're in version 10.4.0. I don't want to just go to 10.6.0. So what I like to do is go to the minor version of what we have. Why? Because if there are hot fixes or things like that, then that's something that is more than likely safe to upgrade to. Now that we're here, I'm going to add the Maps SDK package, and we just have to wait a little bit, and it found it. So now we're gonna add the package. Great. Now onto the second package that we have, which was SD web image, again 5.21.3. So again, back to Xcode, add package dependencies, and we add it here at the top. We see SD web image, and we want to go to the minor version. 5.21.3 is what we had. That's right. And then we'll add the package. And then this is a good scenario. Many times different packages will have different options kind of split. Big companies, big libraries usually give you the option to install selectively what you want in your project. So now that we have the Google Maps package 10.4.0 and SD web image 5.21.3, That's exactly what we had in Cocoapods. So we should have no problem at all running our project again, and let's do it. Remember, we're no longer using Cocoapods, we're fully using Swift Package Manager. As long as we keep the libraries consistent and versions consistent, this would be smooth sailing. And there you have it. We finished. Now we have our project no longer being a workspace, no longer using Cocoapods, fully using Swift Package Manager. I hope this video helped you. If you have any questions about how to approach this migration, don't hesitate to reach out and I will help you out.